my little yarnivores and spiderettes and arachnids. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. Yes, and today I'm going to show you a really lovely shawl that you can knit up really quite simply, actually. It is a wraparound knit shawl. Oh, yes, as opposed to the usual triangular shape, which, can be difficult. This one is very much comparable to pieces that I've done previously in crochet, where it is more of a square format with a slit, and then those two flaps at the top, they flip over your shoulders, and it fits beautifully. Absolutely. Love it. Now, as far as the pattern is concerned, once you get started and you have the basic sort of tab, if you will, set up, it is just a 2-row repeat. Very, very simple. Yes, and there are no decreases. It's just yarn overs to make eyelets, which is very, very simple. You are going to need, though, you are going to need 3 markers. I'm just using some little rings here. You can use, really whatever works for you. I like using some rings, some little closed rings. And of course, you will need some knitting needles, circulars most definitely, because again, very much like a recent tutorial that I did for a heart-shaped shawl, this one also is a top-down shawl. So all of these stitches for the bottom edge are going to be on your needle. So you are going to need a long corded circular needle. Straight needles, I'm afraid they just will not cut it. Now, because you are going to have so many stitches, I would recommend the longer the cord, the better. So I would say if you can go for a 48-inch cord, that should suffice, okay? Also, for this example, I'm going to be using a 10.5 knitting needle, yes. And the colorway and yarn that I used for the example was Wool Ease DK Cake in the colorway of Winter Solstice. And for today's example, I'm going to be using the same yarn, different colorway. I believe this is Bedazzled, and it is, just for detail's sake, this is 393 yards, and it is 80% acrylic and 20% wool, and it's a weight of 3. Now, for the example that I did, I used size 13 needles because I wanted it to be very, very big and lacy and billowy. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to use slightly smaller needles so that it will be easier to see what it is that I'm doing as far as the eyelets and so forth. All right, so that being said, let's get started. All righty. All right, so we are at row 0 at the moment because I'm going to do the cast on and the first row just knit. Very similar to what we had done previously with the heart-shaped shawl. So again, like we did before in that video, we are just going to cast on 3 stitches. So you really don't need a very long tail for sewing in later. So we're just going to cast on 3 stitches. And also the neat thing about this particular piece is how I'm doing it is all garter stitch. So you don't have to worry about a right side and a wrong side and so forth. You don't have to worry about that. All right, so I cast on my 3 stitches, and now for just to set it up, just to sort of set up what we're doing, we're just going to knit the first 3 stitches that we have here just to sort of stabilize the piece, because in the next row we are going to incorporate some yarn overs. Yes, we are. So let's just knit these first 3 stitches and get ourselves established, shall we? And 2 and 3. It's always easier to do yarn overs and so on and so forth if you have your stitches established first. At least that's what I find. So that is the sort of, the prefix. And now let's get into row 1. Okay, so now we're going to get to the good stuff for row 1. By the way, with this pattern as well, every even numbered row. You just knit all the stitches, which I love because it's like having a mini vacation every other row. So for row 1, quite simply, we are going to knit the first stitch and then yarn over and then knit the next stitch and yarn over and knit the last stitch. There you go. And that is row 1. Now for row 2, yes, if it'll focus. I don't know what's up with my camera, but yes, it is row 2. For row 2, we are just going to knit all the stitches as they are, whether they are a knit stitch or a yarn over, just knit them all as they are. See, these two little middle ones, this one and this one, those are yarn overs, but we're going to treat them as normal stitches. We're just going to knit those. And then later when we have our markers, we would slip them and we would just knit these yarn overs normally. So I'm just going to knit my way across. And that will be the same for every even numbered row. Very important. And there you go. All right, so next up is row 3. Okie dokie, so row 3 is going to be actually very much like row 1 in how we're going to add our yarn overs. Now, if you look, we've got 2 little eyelets down there, and we're going to have even more pretty soon. So for row 3, it's going to be knitting the first stitch, and yarning over and knit, and yarn over and knit, yarning over and knit, yarning over and knit the last stitch, like so. There you go. And then for row 4, you would just knit your way back across, knitting every stitch that we have there, just as we have been. And I'm just going to do that real quick. And the reason why I keep having to go away from the camera is because I have my cord, my circular cord, and I have to keep adjusting because of my tripod situation here. But as you can see, we've got yarn overs in between our knit stitches. So we're just going to knit all of those. And again, it sort of stabilizes what we're doing every other row. So this is row 4 now. And then once we get to rows 6 and 7, I'm sort of jumping the gun, but when we get to rows 6 and 7, that is actually going to be the repeat for the rest of the entire project. Yes, indeedy do. And that is why I like this, because once you get it started, and once you get to that sweet spot, there's no stopping you. It's really that easy. Okay, so that is row 4. And let me just go back in front, and there we go. Da-da-da-dum. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we are getting there. Now, again, keep in mind that this is going to be the top middle of the shawl. This is where the back of your neck would be. And then all of these stitches are going to be the bottom edge. But we've got we've got more to do, and yes, we shall. Alrighty, so row 5, this is actually where we're going to be incorporating our markers, our little stitch markers, our rings. So first off, we have to establish ourselves by doing a knit one, yarn over twice. Yes, and then we'll place our first marker. So knit one and yarn over, and then knit one and yarn over. So we knit one, yarn over twice. Now we put on a little marker, and then we do the same thing. We knit one, yarn over twice, and then we place the next marker. So knit one, now as you can see, my marker and my yarn over, they're fighting each other, but that's okay. Just be sure that the yarn over is before the marker. Okay, so I knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, and then we place another marker. And then we continue by doing a knit one. And again, I want to adjust my yarn over so that it is before the marker. So I got my knit one, and then yarn over, knit one, yarn over, then last but not least, our third and final marker, and knit one, adjust our yarn over, there we go, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, and knit the last stitch. Da-da-da-dum. Okay. So actually, again, I am going to show you, because now that we have stitch markers, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to handle these guys. Again, I'm just dealing with my circular cord in my tripod here. I do apologize. But, turning it around, you can see our yarn overs and our markers and so on and so forth. There should always be, when you're doing a knit row, as you can see, there's a yarn over, knit one, marker, and a yarn over. So there should always be a yarn over to the immediate left of your markers. If not, sometimes they have a way of slipping under and being curmudgeon-y, but, as long as you're aware of where those markers need to be, you're in good standing. Okay, so let's just knit our way across here. Let's just do that. So just going to knit my way across and slip my markers when we come to them. Okay? Besides, I also like very much to spend some time with you guys and say hello, and I hope that you're all doing very well today, and that I have been really, really, really busy working on some projects for you guys, some crocheted projects, believe it or not. I know I've been doing a lot of knitting lately. All right, so I'm just slipping the marker over, and then continue on with knitting our stitches as normal. Yeah, I'm working on a crocheted blanket, and it has been taking me a lot longer than I thought it would. but we do what we do, right? Right. There we go. Then slip the marker, and then just knitting the yarn overs normally as if they were just regular old knit stitches. It's all good. And then when we turn it around, I'll show you where we're at, and we're almost there, so we can do that. And then just slip the marker. There we go. Couple more. And there we go. Okay, now let me just turn this around here. Okay, so now we have ourselves a bit more established, if you will. So you can see that we have eyelets running along the bottom here, and how it's going to work out, and it'll become more obvious as we keep going, that there's going to be a total of 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 sections separated by spines of eyelets. Now, it's not very noticeable at the moment, but when we do a couple more rows, you will see it really pop out more. Right now, because we have eyelets along the bottom edge, and it's a little congested with the eyelets, it's a little difficult to see, but I'm going to show you. We are going to go on to, oh, and we just did row 6. That was row 6, by the way, just knitting across. So row 7, we are going to do together, and I'll do that, a couple times, and you'll get an idea as to where we're going to be going. Alrighty, let's proceed, shall we? Okay. All right, the pièce de résistance, row 7, because it's going to be row 7 and, an even numbered row. The next row will be just knit stitches, all the way across as we have been doing. But row 7, that is the essential formula for the rest of the pattern. Yes, we have reached the repeat. You and I. Yes, we have. So to do row 7, it's very, very simple, really. I'm going to knit the first stitch, always. So knit 1 and yarn over. Okay, easy enough, right? And then we are going to knit to the next marker right here. So we're going to knit the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then going to yarn over, slip the marker, knit 1, and again, be careful about your yarn over and your marker. So I yarned over, slip the marker. Now I'm going to knit 1, just fix my yarn over there. Very good. So I yarned over, slip the marker, knit 1, then yarn over again, and that's going to create our first spine. Then knit to the next marker. So knit 3, 1, and 2, and 3. Okay. Then, since we're at the marker, yarn over, slip the marker, knit 1, yarn over, then knit to the next marker. 1, 2, and 3, yarn over, slip the marker, knit 1, yarn over, and then knit to the last stitch. So knit, knit, and knit. And then, to finish up the row, yarn over and knit the last stitch. Da-da-dum! Okay, and then for the next row, all you would do is just knit your way all the way back across. Since I've done it a couple of times, I think you can do it. And so I'm going to meet back up with you and do this row, at least, one more time, maybe 2. Okay? All right, so I'll be back in a flash. I'm just going to knit my way back across, and I will meet back up with you for the repeat of row 7. Okie dokie. All right, so I knit my way back across and we are ready for the repeat of row 7. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you, if you look closely, you can see a little triangle of stitches there. And so that's going to be one of our 4 sections. And then we have, you can see the rest of our sections. So this right here, this will be the spine going down the middle of your back. And then this flap here and this flap here will be the ones that will be going over your shoulders, because this line, this spine here, and this spine here are approximately where your shoulders are going to be. And, when it keeps growing and growing and growing, it'll become more obvious. Actually, if you want to be technical, you would have it more like this, okay? Because I was having it upside down, but that's how we actually work the stitches. That's to give you an idea. So obviously, you keep going and going and going, you are going to have a lot of stitches on your needles. Now, you can start off with relatively small needles, but you are going to have to swap your stitches over to a longer cable. Otherwise, you are going to have an issue, okay? So let's do a repeat, shall we? All right, so again, to recap, you knit 1, and then yarn over, and then you knit to the first marker. I'm just going to mosey on to that first marker. And there we go. Okay, so we are at the first marker. So you would yarn over, and then we're going to slip the marker, and then knit 1, and yarn over, and then knit to the next marker. And the bigger your project gets, the less you even have to worry about doing this much, because you're going to be having more and more stitches in between your markers every other row. So we've knitted to the next marker. Then again, yarn over and slip the marker, and then knit 1, yarn over, and then knit to the next marker. Okay, we've reached the marker. So then yarn over, slip the marker, knit one, yarn over, knit to the last stitch, there we go. And then to finish up the row, yarn over and knit the last stitch. There we go. And so what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to knit my way back across, and then I'm going to do one more repeat for you guys because I love spending time with you, and I really want to make sure that you understand fully what it is that we need to do. And yeah, so let's do it. I'm going to knit my way back across, and I'll meet right back up with you. Alrighty. Okay, so as you can see, our little triangles, they're growing very nicely. So yes, once again, going to do another repeat. And also I am going to provide links as well in the description box for other resources and things. So we're going to start by doing our knit one and yarn over. And then we knit to the first marker. So knit one, yarn over, knit to the first marker. And what I mean is there's a great lifeline trick that I use upon occasion, especially when all of your stitches, your bottom edge stitches, and you're doing a top-down shawl like this one. Using the lifeline trick, you can put all of your stitches on a length of yarn and spread them out nicely, and you can see just how big your shawl is if you need it to be bigger or not. It's very, very convenient. So I'm going to put a link to that in the description box. So we've knit to the marker. So yarn over and then slip the marker, knit the next stitch, and yarn over, and then knit to the next marker. Also going to put a link in the description box down below for the stretchy bind off, which I would very, very strongly recommend doing for this piece, because the bind off edge is the bottom edge, not the top edge. That can be stiff. No, this needs to be fluid. So I'm going to put a link to the stretchy bind off in the description box as well, and that will help you. All right, so we've gotten to the marker. So yarn over, slip the marker, knit the next stitch, yarn over, and then knit to the next marker. See, it's really not that bad once you get past the rigmarole of creating the first couple of rows. Once you get into the 2-row repeat of row 6 and 7, if you will, it's really not that bad. And of course, this pattern really lends itself to a multitude of different colorways. Ombres would be lovely. All right, and we're almost to the next marker. Okay, and then yarn over, slip the marker, knit one, yarn over, and then knit to the last stitch. It's really that easy once you get the hang of it. Okay, and then just one more. Okay, so we've reached the last stitch. Yarn over, and then knit the last stitch. Yes. Da-da-da-dum. Okay, so there you go. And let me just lay this out here. So basically, this is what we are creating. And I wanted to knit up enough of it to show you in person what it would look like still on the needles. So you have these two sections. These two sections are going to be covering your back, and then these two sections sort of flippy floppy over and down over your shoulders, and it really has a wonderful effect, I think. Alrighty, so like I said, in the description box, I'm going to put a link for the lifeline trick, as well as a link for the stretchy bind off, and have fun with it. Yeah, so listen, I really hope that you like this tutorial. It's a little simple, but there are a lot of possibilities because if you want to, you can play around with different stitches for these panels and really customize it and make it your own. But it is, I believe, always a good thing to understand the basic construction of the piece before you decide to go into customizing and so forth. It's good to have sort of a blank canvas that you can then work off of in later attempts and tweakings and workings and things. At any rate, if you liked this video, and I hope you did, please give a little thumbs up button down below. I appreciate your appreciation as always. Also, check out my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games, for video game playthrough and commentary. A lot of fun. Would love to see you there. And also, let me know if you're interested in giving one of these a try because I do like hearing from you. Yes. And also, yeah, experiment with different size needles and different weights of yarn. You can really have a lot of fun with this. Yeah. So until next time, I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching and safe. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.